Honestly, as you said, know your why. Really get strong on that, what your why is. Surround yourself with people that will help you grow. So that mentorship piece that I talked about, and people that are not going to be nice to you per se, but that they're going to hold your feet to the fire. And if you're not developing personally, like reading books and understanding more about yourself, when you have those conversations, you're going to take it with offense. So, prep yourself to be ready to be in mentorship, because mentorship comes with not that you're doing something wrong, but here's how you can do this better.
Everyone, my name is Chris-Beth Cowie. I'm the founder of Empowered for X and the host of BizGrams. And I'm super excited today because we have the privilege of having Dionne Bishop with us here today. Dionne is the founder of Events by Dionne, an event agency that produces, manages, and curates live experiences to help companies promote their brand and engage with their audiences, ultimately increasing the bottom line virtually and in person. So welcome, Dionne. Hi, how are you doing this morning?
Oh, fantastic. Thanks for inviting me on and having me here. It's good. I'm excited. I'm happy. It's Friday.
Hey, it's Friday. Are you getting ready for an event?
Well, I actually just got off of one last week, and now I'm sort of going back to the drawing board and, kind of cleaning up some things to go back out there and do some other cool work. So we're good for now.
We're definitely going to be talking a little bit about that epic week you had last week. But yeah, Dionne, if you could tell us, why do you do events? Why events?
Oh, wow. You know what? That's a good question. And I actually have a solid answer, because I have gone up and down in this industry, and the downs, I usually ask myself, why am I doing this? Like what? Because it's a lot of work, right? And honestly, I love gathering people. I think I just have a natural knack for engaging people, and it's a good time and have fun, but it's also a way to communicate messages. People create memories. So I really like the gathering of people and engaging people in fun ways. So that seems to be what keeps me going, right?
Hey, that's awesome. And especially, navigating your emotions as an entrepreneur, you definitely need that why, to hold on, to bring you back up when you're down in those types of moments,
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So what makes Events by Dionne so unique? Why you?
Oh, I love it. Well, to be honest, it's unique because it is an extension of myself. And what that really means to me, a lot of people name their companies after themselves and they're like, it's me and whatnot, but I'm a firm believer in authenticity. So I tend to show up as who I am 9 times out of 10. And so the business, it really reflects how I see the world and how I operate. So I have the ability of kind of having like this left brain and right brain duality. So I can think logically and strategically, but then I'm like super out here with the creativity and the like dreaming. And so it's a very interesting thing, because a lot of people that live in the dream and they're very creative sometimes can't ground themselves enough to sort of create a structure to allow that creativity to grow. And then some people are super linear and logical and very bottom line. And if it costs too much, we're not doing it. And they don't understand the ability to create something that's fun and engaging, but keeping your budgets and your bottom line clear, right? And so because I think for me, I always think, okay, how can I create something, but make sure that it's makes sense and that it works and it's logical, but that it's also fun and exciting. And I bring that to anything I do. Like, I think my friends would even say, I'm funny, typically always the funny one, but then at the same time, I'm like structured and I'm, very like, we need to do this here and do that here. So they come to me for organization at the same time as come to me for fun. So I think that bleeds into my business. And I think, just the ideas of what I can create and then knowing how to logistically back it up is what people tend to really like about working with me.
You talked a little bit about the event you hosted last week, and a couple of our E4X members were able to attend that event. Do you want to just kind of give us the highlight of what the event was, and what stood out for you as this event was happening?
Yeah. Okay. So wow. So this event, the client was Click Urban, and she is doing her business of itself is a fantastic, I guess, opportunity to help Black businesses get more exposure in the US, in the States. So Click Urban is like an online directory. And she, really had this vision to create this conference that is all about the Black economics and empowerment of the community. And so I was like, oh, this is great because it's really all things that I love to talk about as well, right? And so it was 5 days where we had thematic panels. So basically, one day would be all about finances and your credit score, and other days would be about business development and growth. And then there was some really hot topics and very relevant topics to where we are right now, talking about what it's like to be, a Black female in corporate America, how it is, activism beyond the hashtag. That was one of my more popular sessions. And that was really just talking about, it's great that you've done a Black Square. It's great that you've hashtagged BLM, but what does that look like beyond just the social media sort of presence, right? So it was really good. There was a lot of content, content rich, content heavy, and just really about the empowerment of the Black community, but focusing on business and economics. So that was good.
That's really powerful. And as an entrepreneur, you talked about the low moments and the high moments. Can you tell us what started you on your entrepreneurial journey?
It's funny. People ask me this question and I laugh because I think I've just always been. I can literally close my eyes and see myself like working with my Barbie. And my Barbie's going to work and she's got her own little business. And I used to turn, this is early 80s, right? But I used to turn my parents' little stereo into like a bank teller. So I used to be like, I had my little Monopoly money here and I was doing this and I was doing transactions. My poor brother, I'd make him be my customer. And, so I think from jump, I have been like, what can I sell? How can I be my own boss? I was always sort of the queen of the castle. And then you fast forward, I think, outside of the childhood sort of connection, I work lots of different jobs and different positions. But honestly, I always was like, I can't do this. I want to be in control of my own time. I'm creative in the morning, like super early. So putting me to sit down at 12:30 and say, let's now have a brainstorm meeting wasn't always the best for me because I'm like, I brainstorm at 5 a.m. and 12:30, I want to eat lunch and maybe take a nap. So it was like, it just didn't connect, So I launched Events by Dionne actually back in 2009 and decided that I would do it on the side of my full-time job. And it didn't work out so well. So I ended up putting Events by Dionne down and just kind of falling into that corporate 9-to-5 gig, good pay, good benefits. You got older, everybody tells you what you need to do. And it just still didn't stick. So 2016, Events by Dionne came back to life. I was a freelancer, back and forth again, gig to gig. And then 2020, because of COVID, to be honest, I decided to expand and to actually lean in and grow. And so that's why now we're an agency. So I think, entrepreneurialism has been always scratching on the back. And I'm just proud of myself now that I'm fully 100% in and never going to look back at corporate ever again. It's done.
And sometimes, as you shared, the story is not linear, right? Like you have the highs, you're doing it. I remember in my own journey, I had just gotten laid off from the contract ended. I was working with a nonprofit organization at the time. The funding ran out, and that was kind of one of my reasons for saying the nonprofit model is broken. Like you're doing good work, funding stops, doors closed. That does not make sense. And so for me, it was like stepping in, okay, I'm going to do my hustles come to life, all of these things, and really building momentum in that space. But for myself, not really having the business acumen around the how to start a business, how to run a business, like all of these things. So it was like learning, like I'm like stumbling through this journey. And then I was like, really my mom, awesome, dynamic woman. But her thing for me was go to school, get a good education, get a government job. And like I went on that way. But honestly, when I was stumbling and the bills were not being paid at the time on time, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back and work full time. But honestly, that fire you get as an entrepreneur, it just has to keep burning.
Trust me, I feel you on that. It's just like, that the time and you look and you're like, this is ridiculous. Like my bills are not getting paid. I need a house to live in just like everybody else. Like, what are we doing? And then the lure, I won't lie, I'm still looking at the lure of benefits. I'm like, I want to just go to the dentist and not pay $200 all the time, so you kind of go back to corporate and say, let me get those benefits. But yeah, it's just, again, the fire, like you said, right? And I've always been like, yeah, but we could do it this way, or I have an idea. And when you really pay attention and get that help, like you're saying, it's like you're fumbling. But when I finally was like, look, let me connect in with folks like yourself, let me connect in with a business coach, let's get it together. It really shifted the trajectory of like, okay, now my business has legs on it beyond just, I know how to do what I do. It's how do I do what I do profitable, with sustainability and, and a structure that makes sense for me to grow and be able to afford the bills. I don't want to be a struggling artist. I've never had that desire ever. So,
I don't think we go into entrepreneurship realizing that we might be that struggling artist. But honestly, to your point, it is the mentorship, it is the training, the investing in self to be a professional, to be great as an entrepreneur is what really, as you said, sets you on another trajectory for success.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm glad that now, as I said, like because of the team I'm making and building around myself and the knowledge I'm tapping into, I really can confidently say like the agency, this is it. I'm going to grow this. I'm never looking at a corporate gig ever again, even if there, and I haven't, like blessings from above. I have not been without work since I've launched the agency. I haven't been financially struggle. Like I am in a good space right now. And I really think it's because of how I've structured the business in terms of like Empowered for X or business coaching and mentorship and things like that. So I'm excited.
And I'm really honored as well because you are part of our business accelerator, and to have someone like yourself with that logical and creative mindset to contribute to the space, I definitely can say that we are blessed to have you as part of our community in that way as well. And I'm super excited where the next 3 months of our journey, it's a 6-month program. So the entire 6 months and beyond looks like in terms of, supporting your growth along the way as well.
Yeah. It's great because you have someone to sort of hold your feet to the fire. And I am behind on my homework. I'll say it loud here, but but it's good though, because when I'm on my own, and anyone watching or listening, if you're an entrepreneur, I think you understand, like when you're on your own, you can fill your day with busy work. Every single day, busy work. And a month, 2 months will pass and you're like, I still don't know what my business plan is. I still don't know what my value proposition is. I still don't know what my tagline is, but I'm going to go and do, fix my receipts or fix my invoices or connect my PayPal and get, which are all necessary, but you can just fill up with busy work. So I like having that accountability of somebody's like, hey, Dionne, you haven't submitted that. So get on it.
Today.
It is today, yes.
It is Friday. But honestly, I'm guessing for viewers out there, you use events to help people amplify their brand, to connect with their audiences.
Absolutely.
COVID happened, right? And events, I'm actually sitting in Empowered for X's events room. Before COVID, we were booked solid. That month of March, I'm gonna say bumper month. The room was like the month, every day was done. And I was like, people are coming in. But COVID happened, doors closed. We went from having, I think the last event was held here, we had 60 people, standing room only. And then we had to figure out a new way of operating and serving our clients, supporting them with the training, education, all of these things. Yeah. How did the COVID impact your business as an event host and manager and curator? And what should people be thinking about as they are, we're talking about potentially coming out of the lockdown soon.
I actually talk about this a lot because, not to dissuade anyone else's experience with COVID and the lockdown and all this kinds of stuff, but when people were saying, oh, I guess I have to go and work from home now. Oh, I guess I'm going crazy because I'm working from home, etc. And I tried to constantly say, I need you to be in a space of gratitude because you have work to bring home. The event industry, we did not have work to bring home. We were shut down. So in the beginning, in March of 2020, I was still freelancing. So I had contracts that, people would hire me. I'd show up, manage the event, tie it up and then go home and I'd go on to the next. And so I had contracts that were building up for 2020 and they all canceled. And I looked in front of me and there was no work from home, there was no work. And there's still people, right now just suffering literally from that because they depend on the live experience. So, your AV techs and your the people that are working at the venues, and there's not much to pivot to. If you're a restaurant, they were trying to, make takeaway meals and things like that. But if you're an event venue, there's no people, there's no work, there's nothing. So it was interesting. But for me, what ended up happening is me going, okay, if I'm going to, and I also pinpointed real early on, I think a lot of folks in my industry and people didn't really, they thought we were coming back. They thought this was going to be a short blip and that they would just have to ride through the summer. And then by fall, everybody would be back at TIFF and having a good old time. And I kind of knew in my gut, I was like, we're not coming back. So I had to figure out virtual real quick. Virtual events is now what everybody's trying to do. Some people are still avoiding it because they don't want to do it. Some businesses are like, I don't get it. It's stupid. I'm not doing it. We'll just keep waiting until outside opens up. And it's not going to. It takes 6 months sometimes to plan a proper event. And 6 months could be on the short side. It could even be a year. So if you're not in pre-planning mode for some of the larger events now, even February 2021 for 2022, if you haven't started by now, it's not going to be ready by 2022. So this is the thing that people need to understand. It's like, it's not just, the event is, April of next year. It takes 9 to 12 months. And if we can't work 9 to 12 months ahead of that, it's not going to happen. So I really went into, let me figure out this virtual thing. Blessed to have jumped in with the client, local client in Mississauga here, and, did the gala, the top 100 Canadian women. I'm butchering it. My goodness, I apologize. But it was celebrating top Black women across Canada. And that was a gala on virtual. And it was such a great experience because I learned real fast that this virtual work is not a one-woman show. So where I was freelancing before and I could kind of fall into something and run it with my eyes closed, virtual, to anybody who's thinking of virtual, hire yourself a virtual producer. And this is not a biased plea. It's really, it's a lot of work. And for me as an individual, I had to expand my own team because I couldn't keep it up as an individual. So COVID really kind of made me dig deep and think like, okay, how do I keep my career? Because this is what I know how to do. And every time I've tried to put it down, I pick it right back up. So I was like, this is where I'm going to stay. How do I make this work? And, experience just baptism by fire, right? Just jump in. But yeah, I think embrace virtual production 100%, and get help. Did that answer the question? I feel like I went off on a tangent.
No, listen, I think that nailed it. BizGrams is new. I think this is week 2 for us and super excited. But I realized that I had this vision and to execute. You see, I'm away from the computer. On my team, Leanne is producing our show and she's awesome,
Yep.
I did try doing one of the shows by myself and I was so close and I was like, what is that?
Absolutely. Yeah. And even I know we're streaming out to Facebook. So even that, I've seen people literally not have someone watching the actual feed from the front stage. And they didn't realize that it wasn't connecting properly. So they were having a whole performance here, but it wasn't streaming out to where they thought it was. So nobody in the audience could watch it because it was off. But they didn't have somebody internal that was literally paying attention to the front stage. And I'm thinking to myself, what are we doing? But when you're a one-person show, those kinds of mistakes can happen and you won't even realize, right? So, yeah.
Any platforms that you would recommend that you've used that worked well?
Yeah, so that's the thing. Right now, it's almost controversial to, call out a platform, let me tell you.
Oh.
But what I will say is Zoom, which we are on right now, right, is a very great platform for things like this, for connection, meetings, the 1 or 2 people stream out to Facebook, simple stuff, fantastic. It is not my recommendation to use Zoom for larger experiences, even if you can break out, people, the Zoom rooms. I love the Zoom rooms. Again, it's like a meeting. I consider Zoom like a boardroom, think if you have a hotel and you've got the big ballroom, the event venue, the space where everyone sits and eats and it's beautiful. And then you've got that boardroom off to the side, very necessary, very important. It's probably also booked at the same time because the team needs to meet somewhere and have meetings and chat and talk. But you're not trying to feed people in the boardroom and give them the experience of a lifetime in the boardroom. You're doing that in the hall, right? So that's sort of my analogy to Zoom versus these other platforms, because Zoom was never created to be the ballroom. It was always created to be the boardroom, right? And so I love it for this, sort of one-on-one, perfect. Google, I think it's Google Meet or Microsoft Teams or other things that people alternate. I think it's a bit spotty for me. Whenever I use Google Meet, it's like, what? Huh? It's too much. I can't. So I stick with Zoom. But I am right now, I've used AirMeet. I have used Socio. I have used Hopin. And I think right now Hopin is my fave. And as I say, it's almost controversial to call one out, but right now Hopin is my fave, not because it was without, issues, but because of the growth and the ability to understand, like they're listening to the event industry on what to build and how to make it. Because I think that's the missing piece too. There's platforms that are not listening to us. They're more trying to go right to the end user and they're like, hey, this is how you can, it's so simple. This is how you can use it just to do it. So they're talking to non-event professionals. But the reality is that most people are going to hire the event professional to do it. They just will pick the platform before and go, oh, this is a great platform, and then give it to the event professional to use. And it's like, but for what I know I needed to do, this might not have been my best choice. So I encourage people to, when you're talking platforms, one, as I said before, not a bias plea, but again, one, get yourself a producer, get yourself a team that knows what's up. And then 2, bring them in early, have the conversation early so that they can recommend what the platform is for what you're trying to do. Because if all you're trying to do is what we're doing right now, Absolutely. You don't need a large, robust platform. But if you're talking about, you want to have a live DJ and you want to have a session, you want to have a breakout room and you want to have graphics swirling across the front and, you're going to have a host and all of this stuff, which is all the stuff I love. That's my sweet spot. If you want that, we can't do that on Zoom. So we got to have a conversation.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I have differing views about some of the platforms that you mentioned. But again, I like what you said. It's going to, the professionals, companies should be listening to the end users, one, but also the people that are supporting the end users. Yeah. And so the injection and feedback, I know Zoom from the beginning to now has done a lot of upgrades as well. Yeah. Hopkin, you mentioned. For me, my experience, I guess, from a producing side, it's easy to do and nice to use. From a user perspective, very glitchy. So I love Hopkin. However, I'm like, fix those bugs, man. I'm going to hop off of Hopkin. But
yeah, and they all have their own version, because I think the one that I used recently as well, the user had great feedback and I was pulling out my hair on the back end, right? So again, it's just having that conversation, because you want the user experience. Of course, I'm all about experience. So the user experience has to be top notch for sure. I would never put my needs over the user's needs, in the sense of, like, I wouldn't pick a platform that makes my life easier, but it's terrible for the user. That would never be what I recommend, or even my business model, right? The user's experience has to be top notch. So if the platform, if it doesn't give the user experience what we want, I would say do something else. However, there's always a way to get both. Keeping us happy and functional, and keeping the user happy as well. Yeah.
Yes. So Dionne, tell us, who is your ideal client?
Yes, all my homework that I have to be doing. My ideal client, honestly, I'm in corporate. It's lifestyle brands, because right now it's about people who are brands, I should say, that are ready to give the experience, who understand and value experience. So it's not sort of your brick and mortar just company that's just, selling a product per se, and wanting to go on virtual and do a digital, here's how I sell my product. It's really the brands that talk to emotion and lifestyle, so technology, tourism, a lot of food and bev, just those are my sweet spots. And companies, as I say, lifestyle brands that are ready for change. I think that's one of the key things that I'm realizing when I look behind. Some are just, let me jump online because I have to. And some are truly like, no, we're leveling up. We're looking for ways to engage our audience. We're looking for ways to interact with them, to give them a show-stopping experience that they connect with us and they come back. So all of that sort of space where they have the desire to try something new and different and go after, a bigger experience than just like, here's my click, here's my link, buy my product, because you don't necessarily need me. You just need digital marketing for that. But for me, I work in tandem with digital marketers, and we work in tandem with your marketing and strategic plan. Like, how are you trying to grow your business? Bring me in when you're ready to activate that brand story in a different way beyond just click here and look at the ads. You want something where people can interact and network and connect. That's really where I want to jump in and be of service.
So if you're looking and someone that fits the criteria that Dionne mentioned, please send a direct communication her way. And in a few minutes, Dionne will tell you how you'll be able to get in touch with her. And before we get to that point, Dionne, can you tell us any tips or advice you have to share with entrepreneurs?
Oh, yeah. Honestly, as you said, know your why. Really, really get strong on that, what your why is. Surround yourself with people that will help you grow. So that mentorship piece that I talked about, and people that are not going to be nice to you per se, but that they're going to hold your feet to the fire. And if you're not developing personally, like reading books and understanding more about yourself, when you have those conversations, you're going to take it with offense. So, prep yourself to be ready to be in mentorship, because mentorship comes with not that you're doing something wrong, but here's how you can do this better. And so personal development, read some good books, get yourself with a little bit of thick skin, surround yourself with the mentorship to give you the feedback that you actually need, not what you want to hear. And then have a strong why as to why you're going to suffer through some of these days that we suffer through. Labor, pain of, what do they call it? A labor of joy, or whatever that's called. Labor of love. Yeah, right. Because it's real. It's going to happen. But at the end of the day, though, you feel accomplished. I like to set up my own success metrics. Like I talk about KPIs and stuff for, clients, but for myself, like, Dionne, what do you need in order to make this year successful? What will make you feel like you accomplished something? And I have my little list. And as long as I sort of tick those things off, at some point in the year, I'm never one who's like 30-day goals, 60-day goals. Like those are good, but I like to just over the course of this year, what are the things that I need to have happened for me to feel like this was successful? I moved the needle forward. What did I do? So just kind of have those things clear, so you're not spinning around just doing the day-to-day, but you can see that you're progressing and moving yourself forward with accomplishment. So.
Oh, well, I oftentimes like to ask, any books you like to recommend? Yeah.
I actually, I always recommend The Art of Single Tasking. And I think I can't remember her name now, something Shaw, I think. But The Art of Single Tasking is a brilliant book for those of us that multitask to the ends and we think we're doing something. Yeah, we're not doing anything.
Read that book.
Yeah. You actually get ahead faster and you with more grace and ease and peace of mind when you do one thing at a time. As opposed to a bunch of little things. And by the end of the day, nothing actually got accomplished, but you started a little of everything. Where this is now, since I put that into my practice, it's like I do this one thing today, done. I do this one thing today, done. And by the end of the week, you actually completed 5 things as opposed to 5 things sort of are almost done and you got to work on Saturday to clean it up because here comes Monday, that kind of thing.
That's so powerful. And it's funny, earlier in the talk you mentioned, being busy and not getting anything done, but you move from busyness to being more productive, right?
Yeah.
And so I can attest to the multitasking and being busy, and I'm like, what did I get done? Everything's still open. And one of my mentors said to me, Chris-Beth, let's close the loop. Let's close the loop. And so for me, it was really like honing in on that one thing, that single task to say, let's close the loop. And so Dionne, that is super powerful.
Yeah. I take that. Let's close the loop.
As you can tell, I'm like a bundle of energy. And I'm like, go sometimes. And I'm like, let's do so many things. The shiny thing syndrome sometimes take effect, but really over the past couple of years, and I think COVID 2020 definitely helped ground that and really helped me narrow the focus. As you said, what are the things that would make you happy? I was saying, what are the things that you want? And really closing the loop. And I can honestly tell you 2020, there was some, I think the emotions, the highs, okay, we're here for a little, we're here for a long time. My goodness, what is my life all going to be about? And then it's like peace. Like that's really been how I ended the year, just feeling at peace. I had to make some decisions. I had to close some loops, and 2021 is here. I'm so grateful. And we're just moving forward, with that mindset.
Yeah, exactly. We're on the same page.
Hey, that's awesome. Dionne, my final question. I love this question so much. It is, so my word is phonepical, okay? Fun and epic combined, phonepical. So it means fun and epic adventures, great or small, done to express self-love. So what do you do? What is one thing that you do to express self-love phonetically? And you see, I just added more words to it.
Yeah, I'm receiving all of the words. It's hilarious because I know if this was in the summertime and I answered this, it would sound like relevant, but it won't be too relevant now because I don't do it in the winter. But I have to say I like to hike. So I think when I think of fun, I do think of, nature and trails and all this kind of good stuff. Epic. I mean, epic, I almost feel like needs to be like I'm hang gliding or something, like epic feels like it's a big word, right? Yeah, I like to go hiking. I like to be out in the trees. It definitely like grounds me. I like to connect with nature. So it is a little bit tough for me during the winter months because I really don't know what that I'm going to curse if I try to say that word. So let me not even bother.
Fun, epical.
Epical. See, I was like, I'm about to tell somebody about their mama. But yeah, I can't even, there's not much I do in the winter. I mean, I work out, but that doesn't sound fun or epic, that's just so I don't get stiff.
Hey, no,
I'm a hiker. I am a tree hugging hiker in the spring, summer, fall.
We are kindred spirits. I love the same. So that's awesome. Dionne, tell viewers how they can get in touch with you.
Yes. Please follow me on all the channels. I am now a lover of all the channels. So I am on Facebook, Events by Dionne. I am on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is definitely where I spend a lot of my time on LinkedIn. So you'll definitely find me there. You can find me under my name, Dionne Bishop, or I have a company page as well, Events by Dionne. Instagram, same thing, Events by Dionne. And all of those channels have the link to book a call. So I have a calendar. You can book a 30-minute call to chat through what you're thinking about, what event you might want to, put on the market. Or if you just want to send me an email, that works too. So I am always all over these digital streets. That's what I like to tell people. You can find me anywhere in the digital streets.
Hey, I love it. I'm going to use that because I often tell people when they're starting out as an entrepreneur to make sure that they get all of their digital real estate. So that's your domain and all of your social media handles. And then once you're there, you got to walk the digital streets. I love it.
I'm out there. I'm on these streets.
I love it. Dionne, it has been an absolute pleasure and privilege to have you on our show. And I look forward to connecting with you again later tonight at our accelerator, 6:30. So yeah, we're going to talk about that homework.
Absolutely.
I am super excited. So folks, thank you so much for being here with us today. And we look forward to seeing you next week at 11:30. Awesome. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thanks so much, guys. It was a good time.
Awesome.